Welcome back to Patriot Lifting. Today, we're talking about a really fun subject for me. I'm really passionate about this. What kind of crane should you buy to get started in the crane business? I'm gonna have some coffee first. What I feel like is the best crane to buy is not necessarily the cheapest crane to buy. Now, in your market, I know that there's slim pickings on a lot of stuff. So in your market, you might find like a 15 ton that you can afford or a 17 ton or something like that. There's a lot of older cranes out there that are really good, and we're gonna talk about some of those here in just a minute. What kind of work do you wanna do? I don't know what you wanna do, but basically, if you want to get just into crane stuff and you don't want to haul anything, then you're probably going to be looking at swing cab crane or truck crane. I started with a stand-up boom truck, and there's some challenges with that, but there's also some advantages. Basically, one of the advantages is that you can offer a little bit more service to the customer. In order to get you in the door, you can go pick up stuff, you can drop stuff off. In your spare time, you can be hauling stuff if you're not doing anything, shuttling things around town for people, maybe moving equipment, I don't know. But it just gives you a little bit more versatility when you got a flatbed. So let's talk about some of the flatbed options. So I started out with a Simon RO, which is now TRX, which is now Load King. Yeah, Simon RO, TRX, and then Load King bought TRX. So it's now Load King. But basically, it was a 4792. That means it would lift 47,000 pounds and it had 92 feet of boom. So 47,000 pounds, not at 92 feet. Just to clarify that. It's like 47,000 pounds, like 5 feet out. Great truck. The reason you know that it's a great truck is because they're still making them. I mean, they made them from the 80s, the mid 80s, they started making the 4792, and they still make them to this day. Load King still manufactures the 92 foot boom. I believe they're still using the same winch. They've made some perfections. They put LMIs on them. They put front outriggers on them, different things like that. In some cases, they angled the outriggers forward so that it made more of an X pattern. And so they've improved the crane just a little bit, but fundamentally it's the exact same crane, which is saying something. In that class, I think that 92 feet of boom is where you're gonna be able to do a lot of the jobs. In that class of crane, what that's gonna allow you to do in that size of crane is to be able to reach most air conditioned units on different restaurants and things like that. And tree work is a big one. So you're not gonna be able to reach the top of every tree, but you can do a heck of a lot more trees with 92 feet of boom than you can do with 70 feet of boom, which is the boom length below that. 70 feet is really hard to reach a lot of stuff. So you're gonna be limited by boom length a ton. If you have a jib, you might as well get used to swinging it because you're gonna be swinging it on every single job. So 92 feet of boom, in my opinion, is bare minimum to be able to get started doing crane work on most jobs. In that class of cranes, I feel like there's some really good economical cranes that me and some friends of mine have all gotten started on. One of the cranes, obviously I'd be biased, the 4792. They also have a 2892 Manitex, which is a good crane. It's got a little bit more capacity. I haven't looked at the chart on it, but I would assume it's got a little bit more capacity than TRX. But so the 2892. Also, the Manitex makes a killer single axle 22101, which is a friend of mine, Isaac. He has one of those, and he dominates in being able to fit into tight spots, back into driveways, do storm work, all that kind of stuff. Now, the thing about Manitex is you have to know that you cannot overload them. Go to any dealership, they're full of Manitexes that have been overloaded. You cannot overload them. A TRX, if you get into an overload situation, obviously it's every crane guy's nightmare, but a TRX, you have a heck of a lot better chance of being okay with. So that's a little tidbit about Manitex. Moving on to swing cabs, if you want to go hardcore into the crane space and you don't want your neck to hurt as bad and stuff like that, then the swing cab is going to be a little bit more expensive. I would say that probably we're looking at like 70 to 100 grand for this type of crane. Now, we'd be looking at like $70,000 to $100,000 for this type of crane. And this is what I personally believe you can get a good crane like this for. So starting out, the 35100 TRX is a great option. They're older, you can still get parts for them. Again, Load King still makes the 35100. It's not a swing cab anymore, it's a stand-up, but they still make parts for it. They're pretty easy to find. I know here in Atlanta, they've got a Load King dealer. I think it's in Lithonia or something like that, just southeast of Atlanta. So you can still get parts for them. So the 35100 is a good option. The advantage with the 35100 as opposed to the other types of boom truck is it does not have an A-frame style outriggers. When you go to a swing cab, you go to the out and down style outriggers, and what that does is allow you to work in tight alleyways where you can do mid-extend or even shoot the outriggers straight down. Gives you a little bit more flexibility. If you have A-frame style outriggers and you're setting up in an alleyway or like a lane closer, you cannot not put those outriggers down. You have to have them down, and they go out when they go down. So having an out and down style outrigger is very advantageous for getting the crane into more maneuverable tight locations. So yeah, the 35100 is a good option. The TRX T340, that's a good option. Before TRX actually bought that crane from, I believe it was Lorraine. So you can find the old T340 in a Lorraine version. They're real boxy looking, they're kind of ugly, but they work really well. They're a hard-working crane, and that 40-ton class of crane is still made by Load King today. As far as I know, they still make a T340 by Load King. So you can still buy a brand new T340. I think all of these cranes you can buy new, but they've been making these cranes for 30 plus years. And so that just says something about their reliability. Something else you got when you get into the bigger swing cabs like this, which be like a 40-ton or up, we can talk about the link belt. Now the link belt, in my opinion, I've seen some local companies around Atlanta that have been running link belt cranes daily for 30 years. 30 years they've been running link belt cranes daily. That says something right there. Now my dad actually has a link belt with 35,000 hours on it. They just run. They're not necessarily operator friendly. They don't have heated seats and heated hand grips and air conditioning and all the stuff that, you know, these Liebherr operators, y'all are gonna get pissed. These Liebherr operators have all the modern luxuries in their, you know, in their hourly paid jobs. Yeah, so they don't have all those modern luxuries, but what they do have is reliability. They're great, and you can still get parts for them. They still make the 40-ton link belt truck crane today. It's a HTC 8640. That's what the model is. So you can go to 8640. I think link belt quit making the 8650 in the 8660 series. I think they jumped to a 65 now. But that was just up until like 2 years ago, 3 years ago, something like that. So the 40, the 50, or the 60, you can get pretty economical, right around that $100,000 range. They got Detroit 50 series in them. So I think the 60 might have a 60 series Detroit in it. So they're real popular engines. You can get parts for them, and they just run. They're just reliable, and you just set up all day. And that'd be a good steel crane. Just swing all day long. You can work it, and you know, you get home at the end of the day, you feel like you worked. But all these cranes, at the end of the day, you feel like you worked on. I mean, we're not talking about getting, this is not the $1 million budget. This is like the starter budget. So yeah, these are worker cranes. These are worker cranes for people that are willing to get out and work every single day, break their neck. And one last one that I really think is cool, they don't make any more of. You can still get some parts for them. Manitex owns them now, but Pioneer. If any of you guys know what an old Pioneer is, put it in the comments. But Pioneer was a really good boom truck. The reason I liked them, I actually ran a Pioneer for a while. They have an X pattern style outriggers that you can jack that crane way up high. In an out of level situation, you can always get it in the air, and they're real stable. They're just good old cranes. You know, I don't know about the parts situation on Pioneer anymore. I know that they had a really stout jib chart, because the one I ran had a 70 feet of boom, and you had to swing the jib a lot, but wasn't that big a deal. So that's about all I can think of really right now. If you guys have any other types of cranes that you feel like would be good starter cranes that you can get for a reasonable price, put it in the comments. I'd love to check them out. I mean, I'll talk back and forth all day long about cranes. That's just, I love them. So I think they're cool. But anyway, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, like, subscribe, do all the things, put it in the comments. So we'll see you on the next one.